Hello everyone, welcome to another Bowtail Bow videos. I'm going to show you how I'm going to make a longbow out of this piece of white oak here. Now the first step to any bow is to decide what kind of bow you're going to be making and the layout of the bow. That way you can get everything organized, set up, so you know what kind of bow, dimensions, all that. So first of all, you find the center of the center. And I think we're going to line the bow up this way. I think that'll do us really good. Make a bow that's it's already pretty stiff. So the next thing to do is we're going to measure out our length here. Planning on doing is making a little bit of a recurve, but a shorter length bow. It currently is 6 feet, but I'm probably going to cut it a bit shorter. Make a nice little white oak recurve. Alright, so I'll show you real quick. Hopefully you can see. So I laid out the bow. I got a 1/2 inch wide knock point here. So I found the center, and then I went 1/4 inch on both sides, made it a 1/2 inch. Then I went halfway down the limb, which is just a good general length, but I'm going to do a taper from half of the limb from where the handle starts. And so that was about 15.5 inches. I just did a taper line, and then I'm going to cut that out on the bandsaw. I did the same on both sides. So now what we do is we're going to need to do a taper. There we go. Nice. So we got taper all the way down. And I'll cut this out on the bandsaw and do it on both sides. Now some of you might be asking, why white oak? Why not hickory or yew or Osage orange, all these other great woods? And I'll just say, I've learned over the time that white oak can be just as great, if not better, than hickory. And I got a lot of it for free, so I might as well use it. Go. Good. There you go. Recurved on the farm, holding it all together. I'll let that sit for a little while, and we'll turn around and do the other side. All right, now that I got it recurved, I'm gonna let the recurves kind of cool a little bit longer, more take a set, and then let the wood reacclimate to the humidity here. That way, because when you steam it, it loses some of the wood moisture, and that could be bad if you're trying to tiller it. So I'm still kind of going to work here on getting the wood a little bit more down. It's still a little bit too thick for the drawweight I'm wanting. So I'm going to take some wood off the belly here and try to balance it out. Just using my SpokeShave. So I got the recurves cooled, and they're all ready to go. I'm gonna pull up my cabinet scraper to kind of clean them up, make sure they look good, before I move on to the next step, which is gonna be thinning out the bow to get it to the right weight and tillering. All right, so we're gonna get my nice tillering string here. So just kind of cap on both ends, so I don't have to put nocks in yet. I'm gonna write which limb is the right and which one's the left. That way I'm consistent with how I put this up. Let's put a nice R now. I'm gonna put it up here on my tillering tree. And I line it up, this line here, so that I'm pulling in the center until I decide where I'm going to be shooting from. We're going to keep that centered. Okay. I'm going to stand back here and take a pull. So right now we can see is that it's straight going across, and that's what we want to see first. I'm applying a load. Okay. You hear that? 30 pounds right there. We moved about 3 inches. Well, it's not too bad. We can see, want to talk through this. I've been told I should talk through this a little bit more. The right limb here is bending a little bit more. So that means it's not pulling as much as the left limb. They're both needing to evenly be tapered. Mostly we just need that left limb to be not as stiff. So we're going to work on that one first, take a little bit more wood off of that side, and then move to the right limb. Here's a little tip that I found that kind of helps me to know which limb has more mass to it. And that's simply to put my finger in the center of the bow and to try to balance it. And as we're trying to do that, we can see that the left limb here has just a little bit more mass to it. And that's why, possibly one reason as to why it's bending more. I mean, not bending as much. It's just got a little bit more mass. So the bow is centered, balanced. That means that the limbs have the same amount of mass to them. Decided to do a version of a tip overlay. It's historical. It's kind of just a shelf. So just a piece of red heart. I'm gonna clean that up, make it a little bit smaller once the glue is all dry, and basically make it so it's just a point that the string rests on, instead of having to cut into the bow. One thing I've learned when you're tillering is you want to not go past your draw weight, even if your draw length isn't reached. So my draw weight is about 35 pounds, and I'll go 35 to 40 is my plan. But you don't want to go past your draw weight, so I don't want to be pulling to 40 all the time or to 45 just to see how far it pulls. But I want to keep it to that 35 range. That way the wood doesn't set beyond what it's intended to set at. Because that can lower the performance of the bow and increase your set, is what that's called, is how much the bow ends up bending once you unstring it. So looks like we're about done. And here I am wrapping up the bow with 100% linen string. This will help add a little bit of strength to the recurves, since I was a little concerned about them during the bending process. A little bit of cracking happened, but this finished off with some Titebond 3 waterproof glue will add for a very nice aesthetic look, but also add strength to the recurves. So here's the bow at full draw and the final tiller. I do want to mention that I was a little disappointed that the limbs, the recurves, didn't turn out perfectly even. It happened because I took off a little bit too much wood on the recurve on the right, and that's something I'll do better in my next one, so I don't have to, so it doesn't look asymmetrical, even though the bow will shoot just fine. 139, 140s on average is what this bow is shooting at, feet per second. Overall, I would say I had a great time making this bow. It only took me, I'd say, 5 to 6 hours roughly, because there wasn't a whole lot of wood on it, but it shoots really well. Low hand shock, a nice smooth shooting little recurve bow.
Things I would change and do differently would be fixing that recurve a little bit better. But other than that, hope you enjoyed the video, and hope to see you guys next time.